classic battles between Winnipeg and Hamilton are a big part of CFL history, dating all the way back to the 1930s. But the most vivid memory started in the late 50s, when the Blue Bombers, coached by Bud Grant, and the Ticats under Jim Trimble, met in the Grey Cup 5 times in 6 years. Those games featured some great players like Ken Plain. Some were played in less than ideal conditions, and Winnipeg won 4 of the 5. In 1965, with Ralph Sazio coaching the Ticats, Hamilton beat Winnipeg in the Grey Cup game. And then a 19-year gap followed before the Bombers and Ticats met in another Grey Cup. This time, Tom Clements led the Blue Bombers to victory. And last year, the Ticats and Bombers met for the first time as Eastern Division rivals in the semifinal game. Tonight on CFN, Winnipeg and Hamilton square off with first place on the line. Most of the first half of the season, Winnipeg's offense had a Jekyll and Hyde personality. But 2 games ago against the BC Lions, it was all Dr. Jekyll as the Blue Bombers exploded for a 53-34 victory at Winnipeg Stadium. Sean Salisbury throwing for a club record 454 yards and 6 touchdowns. But last week, Mr. Hyde made the trip to Vancouver. Dropped balls again plagued the Bombers, and Salisbury didn't engineer a touchdown until overtime. We wonder which one it'll be tonight.
Dr. Jekyll's out tonight. It was an interesting 2 weeks with BC. We have been a little bit inconsistent. We score all the points one week and then have to struggle the next. But you know, it's a different football game, and that's the way each week you have to do what it takes to win, and we were fortunate to win last week, but I hope we explode. I think we'll need the points tonight. Hamilton's going to score some. They're a good offensive football team, and I think we need to match that output.
Mike Riley's Blue Bombers, the hottest team in the CFL, have won 4 in a row, and that has moved them into a first-place tie in the East with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Winnipeg and a first-place showdown on the Canadian Football Network. I'm Bob Irving with Nick Vestaya. Nick, the Blue Bombers' offensive resurgence has keyed this 4-game win streak. They had a few problems in Vancouver last week, but Sean Salisbury instrumental in their offense getting better as the season has gone on.
Yeah, Sean Salisbury right now is playing relaxed. He's playing with a lot of composure. He's poised. He looks like he's having a lot of fun out there.
I don't think the Hamilton defense is having a lot of fun this season. They're giving up almost 30 points per game. A great onus on them tonight to be better than that.
In order for the Hamilton defense to have success against Winnipeg, I think what they really got to work on is getting a real good, strong pass rush and stopping Sean Salisbury.
Mike Walker was injured earlier in the year. He's back second game since he was hurt, and he has some thoughts on what the Ticats will have to do tonight if they're to neutralize a red-hot Sean Salisbury.
The thing is, we have to get quick pressure because they got such a quick release. We have to get in his face and make him throw it away. I don't think we're going to get too many sacks because he's a good quarterback. He's so tall in there. He reads good, and he gets the ball off fast, so we just got to get quick pressure and get our hands in his face.
These are both big play teams. Hamilton gets most of theirs on passes from Mike Kerrigan to Tony Champion. The Bombers look to James Murphy in the crunch, and he usually delivers. Get ready for Hamilton and Winnipeg next on CFN. First place in the East is on the line at Winnipeg Stadium as Paul Osbaldiston of the Hamilton Tiger Cats gets set to kick the game off. Ken Winey and William McCall are back to receive for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. These two teams at 7-4, the second of 3 meetings this season. The third and final one is in Hamilton on the 15th of October. And we're underway, Winey with the football, and he's outside of the 35 of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Ken Winey has done a good job returning kicks in the last couple of weeks. He brought that one back 17 yards. Sean Salisbury has thrown for over 1,200 yards in his last 4 games and is right up there with his counterpart tonight, Mike Kerrigan and Matt Dunnigan, among the statistical categories, among the leaders in the statistical categories in the CFL. Bombers are working into the wind in this first quarter on a brisk night at Winnipeg Stadium. We'll tell you more about that shortly. Salisbury dumps it off. Faby, nice catch at the 47, down at the 48-yard line. Frank Robinson on the tackle.
Randy Faby was showing good athletic ability that time to turn around and make that catch.
We could call this brisk, couldn't we, Nick?
Yeah, I would say that's an understatement, Bob, definitely.
That's warmer than they said it was going to be, 8 degrees Celsius. They were talking about 4 or 5. Strong wind, as you could see, and it's in the face of the Blue Bombers in this first quarter. But Sean Salisbury on his first play, 13-yard gainer to Fabian. He'll pass again, throws for James Murphy, who runs into Shields at the 45. The Ticats came with a blitz on that play. Getting to Salisbury will be their #1 priority.
It certainly will, and if they figure they can't do it with just their 4 people up front, what they're going to do is they're going to bring linebackers and try to outman the Blue Bombers.
Salisbury with Ricky Blake playing his second game after an impressive debut in BC. Cochran also in the backfield. Buster Rhymes plays his 5th game of the season. He hasn't played for a month. And the offensive line that has allowed only 17 sacks, the fewest in the CFL. 2nd and 10 from the Winnipeg 48. Salisbury again with pressure, throws, and it's no good at the Hamilton 48-yard line. Perry Tuttle, the intended receiver.
Well, that first series of downs, you see that Hamilton is making good on their prediction before the start of the game that we're going to bring a little more heat. And instead of trying to defense against Tuttle and Murphy and Blake and all those guys, let's just get after Salisbury. We just worry about one guy. We stop him. We're going to have success.
Well, they came with a blitz on both those plays, Nick, as you point out. Salisbury on the 2nd down pass, unable to get the ball right on the money. And so the Bombers will punt. Bob Cameron, the best average in the league, kicking into the wind, and nobody does that better than Cameron does. And this is a good one. Wally Zatelny at the Hamilton 25, and he's down at the 26-yard line. Daryl Sampson and Paul Clatney down to make the tackle after a 37-yard punt by Bob Cameron, well below his average of 43.6, but very, very good into that wind.
Well, he is a premier wind punter in this league, and that might be one of the things you got to look for tonight. What is the difference between the yardage when he punts and when Osvaldeson punts?
That will be a major factor, I would think. Kerrigan with 199 completions, 1 fewer than Sean Salisbury. Their passing statistics very similar as Derek McAdoo carries on first down across the 30, close to the 31, or maybe 4 yards. Well, we've talked about how hot Salisbury is. The Blue Bomber defense with Andrews, Mikowas back, and Gray up front has been very solid. Tyrone Jones plays his 3rd game at linebacker. Battle coming off a sensational game in Vancouver. And the secondary with Sampson at halfback and Petway on the corner. Petway replacing injured Les Brown. 2nd down and 7. Kerrigan. And he lays it out to Jed Tommy, who's up across the 45 and out to the 48. That's a gain of 11 yards and a first down for the Ticats. Kerrigan has been their starting quarterback all season. McAdoo and Tommy in the backfield with him. McAdoo missed the last game with the flu. The receiving corps champion having a terrific year. And the offensive line. Hutchings and Harley, a couple of rookies at the guard spots. 1st and 10, Ticats at their 49. This is Derek McAdoo. Good room through the middle. And he's close to another Hamilton first down. And Nick, the Ticats believe that they could run effectively against the Blue Bombers.
Well, teams have been able to run against the Blue Bombers, and because it's such an aggressive unit, very often they will overrun a play, as you see in that particular situation. So if the running back keeps his eyes moving, looks for the cutback, he's going to get yards.
McAdoo picked up 10 of them that time for another Hamilton first down at the Winnipeg 51. Kerrigan hands off to Jed Tommy this time, and he doesn't find quite the opening that has been there earlier, although he spun away to pick up close to 3 yards. Bombers have given up the fewest sacks in the CFL. They're also pretty good at sacking the quarterback. They have 34 of them, which is the 2nd best total in the league. 2nd down and 7 for Kerrigan and the Hamilton Ticats at the Bomber 48. Just over 4 minutes into the game at Winnipeg Stadium. No score. As Kerrigan throws to a wide open Zatelny inside the Bomber 30 to the 28-yard line. And Nick, that's the side of the defense we expect Hamilton to go after.
Well, they're certainly going to go after Ken Petway and Daryl Sampson and Mustafa Ali, who's a rookie in the middle. Sampson's not used to playing on that side, and Ken Petway giving a little bit too much room to the receiver that time, not wanting to get beat deep.
Wally Zatilny with that catch. We talked to Al Bruno a lot about Earl Winfield and when he might be back, and it's going to be at least a month. But Bruno said, hey, nothing wrong with Zatilny. He's done a good job. McAdoo on a first down carry, and he finds no room at all.
Well, up to this point, I've been really impressed with the Hamilton offensive line, how they've been able to move the Bombers off the ball a little bit. And, you know, for young guys like Darryl Harley and Brian Hutchings, the two young rookie guards of the Tiger Cats, that's important. Give those young guys a little bit of confidence, a little bit of momentum, make them feel good about themselves and what they're doing out there.
That time, Stan Mickelwas was there to meet McAdoo. We call it no gain. Second down and 10. Ticats at the Bomber 28-yard line. Kerrigan, one of those timing routes, but he threw it behind the intended receiver, Wally Zatilny, and the Ticats will face a 3rd and 10.
Well, at any time that you're running a timing offense, the quarterback has to throw the ball before the receiver makes his break. In this instance, you see what happens when a quarterback's working with a receiver who hasn't been in there too much. Sometimes they're not exactly on the same page.
Paulus Baldiston has been dynamite from inside the 30-yard line. Hasn't missed a field goal from there all year, but he's only 15 out of 30 from outside the 30, and this is a 35-yard try with the win. Well, Baldiston is now 16 of 31 outside the 30, and the Ticats have the lead. 9:14 to go, first quarter. Well, we're grateful for all our supporters. We're not too fussy about how they look. At least I'm not. Nick, how about you?
No, I'm not fussy.
3-0 Ticats. Just over 5 minutes into the first quarter at Winnipeg Stadium, and his Baldiston field goal is open to scoring. John Salisbury to James Murphy on the Bomber first down, and that's good for 11 yards and a Winnipeg first down.
Lance Shields did a pretty good job that time of not letting James Murphy get away. The thing that they're trying here is get that quick, short, hitch type of a pass, let Murphy work one-on-one, and Shields does a good job of keeping after him and force him out of bounds. Otherwise, if he turns that up the sidelines, it could be 6 points.
Murphy caught the winning touchdown pass in overtime in Vancouver on Saturday night. Thrilling football game. Murphy has really come on strong in the last couple of weeks after a very indifferent first half. This is Ricky Blake with his first carry of the game, and he gets a yard, maybe 2 on a toss. Looked like he might lose 4 or 5.
Well, that's a tough Hamilton defense that you come to expect over the years. They've always prided themselves over the years on having a real rock-solid front line, and that's the kind of thing that I know is going to make Coach Bruno real happy. That's what he wants to see out of his guys.
Well, their line is rock-solid, Nick, but they've sure given up a lot of points this year. We'll talk about that as the game goes on. Almost 30 per game. They're on a pace to give up a club record number of points this year. So there are some flaws there as Salisbury throws to Buster Rhymes on first down, but the pass was high. Although Mike Walker, in talking about all the points being scored against his team, said points are being scored against everybody in the CFL. It's just one of those years, and he's right about that.
That's right. The only concern that the Tiger Cats got to have is you don't want to give up the big play, and they've been susceptible to that a lot up the middle this year. And if they're going to score, make them grind it out, make them use up time, and make them earn everything. Don't give it up on one shot.
Well, they forced Bob Cameron to punt very quickly for the second time in the game. Cameron kicking into the wind, a strong wind. Third down and 10, the ball at the Bomber 47. And Cameron hits another outstanding punt into the wind. Zatilny has it. Spins away from the first man, but is down at the 23. Good coverage by the Bombers halfway through the first quarter. .7:44 left in the first quarter at Winnipeg Stadium. The Hamilton Tiger Cats lead the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 3-0. Bob Cameron just lifted a 43-yard punt into the wind, and the Tiger Cats will start first and 10 at their 24-yard line. Mike Kerrigan, Derek McAdoo, and he breaks some tackles and is out across the 30 up near the 33-yard line for 8 or 9 yards for the Ticats. Kerrigan with McAdoo and Tommy, and the receiving corps featuring Champion having that great year, 11 touchdown catches, and the offensive line has Sanderson at center, Miles Gorell and Riley, a couple of veterans at the tackle spots around the rookies, Harley and Hutchings. Second down and close to 2, about 1.5 yards for the Ticats at their 33-yard line. McAdoo left side, hit hard, and he didn't get there. James West
What you're seeing there is one time you throw a blitz at them, and if it's picked up, they're going to get some big yards. That time they plugged all the gaps, and especially when they needed it, and they're going to force, essentially, it's almost like forcing a turnover.
You know, you'll go along for a few plays, Nick, and you won't see James West, and then he's there, and he's there in a big way.
Yeah, he makes his presence felt in a hurry. He is definitely what you'd call an impact player. There's no doubt about that.
And he's having an outstanding year. Baldiston will punt with the wind for the first time. The Ticats not lined up properly. Didn't have enough players on the field. And it was a pretty important one they didn't have. Ray Robertus just acquired from Ottawa.
Hamilton, number 3.
And Robertus was acquired largely to do third down snapping.
I don't think you'll forget the rest of the night, and I'm sure Baldiston feels bad about it. He's the one that gets called.
Robertus will have a tough time living that one down. So it'll be third down and about 6 yards to go for the Ticats instead of 1. From there, 27 as Baldiston to punt with the wind. And they're taking a long time again, but they do get it off in time. And as Baldiston gets a pretty good kick away, Ken Winey at the 38-yard line of Winnipeg. Winey finds some room down the left side, and he's to the Hamilton 49-yard line. 22-yard punt return by Ken Winey.
He's about as good an athlete as they have on that Blue Bomber team, and this is one aspect of the game that Mike Riley wanted to see improve from last time these two teams played. We need better special teams against Hamilton than we had last time. You see him again trying to get to the wall. You see he outruns just the one man. He's turning the corner. Now everybody stays on their block, and if he gets to the outside, he can pick up those extra yards just by outrunning the defenders.
First and 10, Blue Bombers at the Hamilton 49. Salisbury to Murphy, and he can't hang on. There was a defender right there, but a catchable football. James Murphy has had his ups and downs in that regard this season. Well, yesterday, a major deal in the CFL saw Gilbert Renfro given away by the Toronto Argonauts. He was put on waivers and claimed by Cal Murphy, the general manager of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Cal, this didn't just happen yesterday, I assume.
No, it's been going on for a few days, and there's just something that finished up yesterday when we said we wouldn't trade for him, and he came free.
You've always felt very strongly about having a veteran quarterback on your team, a veteran backup quarterback, and you've gone through most of the season without one. I assume
Winnipeg, number 12.
that this move was designed to solve that problem.
Well, you know, we've had our eyes on it for some time, and I know that he has said a few things yet. We've talked a couple of times ourselves, and I think it's just going to be a matter of talking to him, and then we'll decide or see what happens from there.
Is he coming?
Well, I think there's a good chance, but let's wait and see.
Cal, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Cal Murphy, the general manager of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Sean Salisbury fumbles, and Rod Skillman recovers, and the Ticats have the ball at the Winnipeg 51-yard line.
Significant in the fact that with the win, Hamilton again gets another chance with good field position to do something offensively. Salisbury, he drops back and starts sprinting out. It's called a dash play. He does that on purpose to draw the defenders inside. He just didn't tuck the ball away properly when Corbin came up to make the play.
Well, you so rarely see Salisbury take off and run with the football, and Darryl Corbin makes a good hit to jar the ball loose. Rod Skillman with a recovery, and the Ticats leading 3-0. Have it at the Winnipeg 51. Champion from Kerrigan complete. Rod Hill with a tackle, but a 13-yard gain for the Ticats, and that ball was in the air for it seemed like an eternity, but it came down into the right hands as far as Hamilton was concerned.
Well, it's possible that the wind picked this ball up and made it float a little bit. You see the nose of that ball coming up, but Champion really just does an excellent job of showing athletic ability. He goes up and just pulls that ball away from Rod Hill.
So the Ticats looking sharp in the first 10 minutes of this game. First and 10 at the Winnipeg 37.5. Kerrigan tossed to McAdoo, and he will lose yards. Ken Haley and Greg Battle came up to make the tackle.
That should put Tony Champion over 1,000 yards, I believe, for 1,001. Gerald Alphin, you can't claim to be the first guy to go over 1,000 yards this year. 1 yard short.
And what a different year for Champion. Last year he caught 16 passes in 9 games. Of course, he played with a variety of injuries. And as he said to us earlier, the main reason he's having such a good year is he's healthy. Second down and about 11 for the Ticats. Kerrigan has DiPietro open at the 25 of Winnipeg. He's brought down. They'll mark him at the 26, but that will give the Ticats another first down as Rocky DiPietro makes the 631st catch of his career.
And the 34th of this season. Now, he reminds me of another ex-Tiger Cat and Ottawa Rough Rider Hall of Famer, Tony Gabriel. His ability, he doesn't have great speed, but he has that ability to run downfield, read the defense, find the open spot, sit down, and wait for the ball.
He's now just 19 catches from tying Tommy Joe Coffey on the all-time CFL reception list. And the Ticats are first and 10 at the Winnipeg 26. Kerrigan, Zatilny, touchdown Hamilton. They made it look easy.
They certainly did, and again, you can see that they're going to pick on the rookie Mustafa Ali. And if anyone thought that Wally Zatilny is just out there for decoration, they're sadly mistaken. He's got a lot of foot speed, and he's very deceptive. He's not a real big guy. Good time with the offensive line, just getting in behind Mustafa Ali, making the catch.
Rod Hill, the cornerback there as well, as Zatilny got behind the defenders, and Kerrigan threw a strike, and the Ticats really have this crowd at Winnipeg Stadium very quiet. The convert by Osvaldas, and there's a flag down. It's 10-0 Hamilton if the convert stands with 3:26 left in the first quarter. 15 minutes completed Winnipeg Stadium. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, who are not a first quarter team, lead the Blue Bombers 10-0. In their 11 previous games this season, the Tiger Cats have scored a grand total of 37 points. That's about 3 a game, or 3 a quarter. 3 per quarter per game in the opening quarter. They've scored 10 tonight and have a comfortable lead. Saltz on 2nd and 3, floats it out, and a great diving catch by Matt Pierce at the Hamilton 47.
Again, confidence builder for Lee Saltz. It's a tough throw to make because it's a finesse type of throw where you've got to lay it just over the top of the defender. You don't put a lot of zip on it. You just lob it in there. Good effort right there by the rookie Matt Pierce.
And Pierce comes out of the game, and so does Lee Saltz, as Sean Salisbury goes back in. That's a little bit odd. Frank Robinson shaken up. Saltz has 2 good plays back-to-back, gets a first down and a big gain. You think they might leave him in, let him run the offense for a while, but Salisbury back in the game. Well, he is the unquestioned #1 man. I'm certainly not disputing that, but
if he comes back in and struggles, though, I wouldn't be surprised to see Mike Riley put Lee Saltz back in.
Salisbury at the Ticat 47.5. Hands off to Ricky Blake on a draw. Blake bounced off one Ticat and got a yard, maybe 2 on the play. Ricky Blake playing for injured Tim Jesse, played his first game last week, Nick, and rushed for 92 yards in BC.
He did an effective job, and it's always nice to know that you've got a running back there that you can interchange with your regular starter, and you really don't lose much. You keep the pace. You keep the pace up.
Not sure Lee Saltz real happy about coming out of this game. Second down, Salisbury throws, but the pass low. It was intended for, I believe, James Murphy.
Once again, an effective job of the Tiger Cats to close the pocket around Sean Salisbury. Get around him, make him nervous, give him happy feet, dancing around back there. Don't let him get set and throw that ball on time. They've done a good job so far, and it's evidence that they're struggling a little bit right now. They haven't got any momentum going offensively speaking.
Nothing at all on offense for the Bombers thus far. They had the one good run by Ricky Blake and a couple of pass completions by Salisbury in the first quarter, but that's it. As they trail 10-0 to Hamilton, just over a minute into the second quarter. Bob Cameron to kick with the wind for the first time in the game. And he'll try to angle it out of bounds. And it will go out of bounds at the Hamilton 22-23-yard line. 13:27 to go. We're in the second quarter at Winnipeg Stadium. Sean Salisbury warming up again. He's been in and out of the game a couple of times since he was hit by Darryl Corbin and fumbled the ball in the first quarter. And it looks like he's preparing to try it again. But for now, the Ticats have the ball. First and 10 at their 41. 8:50 left. We're in the second quarter. And Hamilton leads 10-0. And Tony Truelove has a good run. He fumbles the ball at the Bomber 44, and Wally Zatilny was there to get it back for Hamilton. Well, Zatilny has pretty well done it all, and we're only in the second quarter.
He is around the ball. He is playing effectively. One thing that the Blue Bombers are not doing right now is they're standing around watching. They're not tackling effectively. They're trying to pull guys down high. They're arm tackling. They really don't seem to be emotionally ready to play this game at this stage of the game.
Which is surprising if that's accurate, Nick, given the stakes and the fact that they've won 4 in a row and they're playing at home and all the rest of it. Kerrigan, the champion, on first down to the 40, and he gets down to the 36-yard line, 37 maybe. Petway made the stop. Champion has a gain of close to 8.
Well, this is the kind of matchup I thought we'd see a lot more of with Ken Petway and Tony Champion, and they're going to try and pick on Petway, who hasn't been out there much, but he does an effective job of coming up once Champion makes a reception and making a form tackle and pulling him down, limit the game.
The last 2 weeks, Champion has caught 16 passes for 319 yards. And he's building another good performance here tonight. Second down and a couple. The Ticats give to Tony Trulove, right side, and he'll have the first down across the Winnipeg 35 and near their 33-yard line.
Well, you know, emotion is an interesting thing in professional sports, and it seems that the Bombers have really been on an emotional high the last 4 or 5 weeks. Every game was extremely important. Every game was against a bitter rival. And it may be that they're in for a letdown right now, regardless of the fact that it is a game for first place.
Darryl Corbin of the Ticats, who exchanged some remarks before this game in the media with some of the Blue Bombers. Bob Molly, Winnipeg offensive lineman, being one of them. Bombers accused Corbin of some unsavory tactics on the field, and Corbin just laughed them off and said, "I'm a tough player, and if they don't like it, that's too bad."
Well, there's another tough player that's been effective over the years, Tyrone Jones. He's not the old Tyrone Jones that we all know and love, but it's going to take him a few games to get back into the swing of things, and they hope he picks up the pace for the good of the defense.
Jones' third game back, second down and 9. Ticats at the Winnipeg 33. Kerrigan puts it up, and Zatilny is unable to come back and get it. Ken Petway with the coverage. And so we'll see Paulus Baldiston and the Hamilton field goal team. 59-year-old Al Bruno with a smile on his face, thinking that play was there, but Kerrigan just didn't throw the ball the way he would have liked to.
Well, it hung up, and it really wasn't exactly a picture pass, but the way things are going tonight, why not give it a shot?
And maybe Al thought there should have been a penalty on the play. He sometimes thinks that way. As Baldiston will try a 41-yarder into the wind. And he hits it far enough, and it's through there. Paulus Baldiston is 2 for 2, and the Ticats lead 13-0. 6:04 left in the second quarter. Lee Saltz, Paulus Baldiston rather, kicks off to Terry Cochran, and he runs it back to the 50. I'm thinking about Lee Saltz because he is going to be replaced at quarterback again by Sean Salisbury. And this is the third time that Salisbury has come back into the game after leaving in the first quarter after a hit from Dale. Nick, it's kind of tough to get any continuity in your offense when your quarterback changes every series.
Most definitely.
First and 10 from the Winnipeg 50. Salisbury throws the pass high, intended for James Murphy, but Salisbury is not throwing the ball as well as he can.
No, he doesn't have that extra little zip on it that he's capable of putting. It's just not getting there, and it's not getting there with any speed. So Mike Riley may have to, it's up to him to make that decision. Am I going to go with Lee Saltz the rest of the game? It may have to be for the good of the team.
That pass looked like it sailed on him. Second and 10, Blue Bombers at their 50-yard line. Salisbury, quick pass. Buster Rhymes has it to the Hamilton 50, and that'll be close to a Blue Bomber first down with 5:20 left in the first half.
It's interesting. I was just wondering myself when Buster Rhymes was going to get involved in this offensive scheme of things. He's been out for about a month, and the problem with that is that you're getting back, you're a little bit rusty, your timing's off a little bit, but he's one of these guys that has big play potential, and they really need some production from him if he's going to help them.
Fifth game he's played this season, Buster Rhymes, and in 3 of the earlier games he was hurt. and didn't play a lot. Salisbury throws, and no good. It was behind the intended receiver, Perry Tuttle, down at the Hamilton 35-yard line. And he took a hard hit from Jim Rockford, who's playing safety tonight with Scott Flagel traded. Salisbury, we're informed, took a blow to the head on the hit by Corbin when he fumbled the ball. But he's just not throwing with the accuracy that he has in the last 4 or 5 games. And of course, part of that is due to the fact that Hamilton has had a good rush on him, put some pressure on him. 2nd and 10, Blue Bombers at the Hamilton 50. Salisbury floats it up for Rhymes, and he comes down with it at the Ticat 18.
I guess just what the doctor ordered. Anytime the receiver gets outside the defender running down the field, he knows where the ball is. He can look back to the quarterback. The defender, being inside the receiver, doesn't have that luxury. His back is to the quarterback. He doesn't know when to make the play or when to adjust the ball. Just a real effective play, nicely done, and looked much more like the old Sean Salisbury we all know and love, I guess, on that play.
32-yard gain. Salisbury, big pressure. He fumbles the ball again, and the Ticats have it at their 22-yard line. Pete Giftopoulos comes up with it.
Coach Bruno's been really pleased with the job that Pete Giftopoulos has done this year. He figures that of any player that's been a real pleasant surprise, it's Giftopoulos. He's got big size. He's got pretty good range for a guy that's 240 pounds. And again, helping the Hamilton Tiger Cats defense by creating another turnover.
And again, Nick, we can say that Sean Salisbury is facing circumstances he hasn't seen for weeks. He has people from the other team around him just about every time he drops back. And that's twice now. The Ticats have forced Salisbury to fumble. And that time they turned back the Blue Bombers when it looked like Winnipeg would get on the scoreboard for the first time in the game. Hamilton leading 13-0.
Well, what happens is when a quarterback is not used to being hit, not used to being sacked because of the great protection he's had from his offensive line, when he gets into a game that's like this, he's going to get rattled. He may lose.
Ticats, 2nd down and 6 from their 27. Kerrigan throws intercepted. James West down to the 1. .247 left in the first half. Winnipeg Blue Bombers needed a big play. James West gave them a huge one, and Ricky Blake takes it into the end zone for a touchdown, capitalizing on the West interception.
That Winnipeg offensive line averages about 280 pounds. You get those guys toe-to-toe, you get a 235-pound running back behind them. Good luck in stopping them.
So the turnover, and turnovers can do that to you depending on where they happen and the circumstances, but the turnover puts Winnipeg back in the game, should give them a huge lift after they had been dominated, Nick, in the first half. And now they're only down 13-7 with 2.5 minutes to go in the half.
Mike Riley expects that his defense is going to give his offense a boost. When the offense struggles, they need the boost. And this is what happens. That James West, just reading the quarterback's eyes, moves to the area where he sees he's going to throw. And again, a good veteran with a big range. He's got a great range, ability to move around. Just a real, again, effective job of moving the people off the ball. He wasn't touched till he got to the goal line. Great job by the offensive line.
One of the underrated Blue Bombers we saw in the picture, Terry Cochran, leading the blocking off that right side as well. Kerrigan has now thrown 2 interceptions, and Salisbury has fumbled twice, so the quarterbacks are even on giveaways. And James West, 3rd interception of the year, and Al Bruno. Boy, these are the kinds of things, again, that just drive coaches around the bend. You're playing really well. You got a nice 13-0 lead, and things are going along. The other team is a little rattled. They can't decide who to play at quarterback, and boom, a turnover, and the complexion changes unbelievably. See if the Ticats can bounce back. And what a hole for Tony Truelove to return the kickoff through up to the 44-yard line. There are 2 penalty flags on the play. Truelove, the designated import tonight, alternating with Derek McAdoo.
66 on Hamilton was holding on the run back. First down.
It's always kind of interesting when something bad happens. If a team can maintain its composure, they can come right back at you. But a lot of teams, you see them, they get down on themselves, and all of a sudden the problems seem to multiply and compound, and that's evidence of things like that right there.
Well, Mike Kerrigan's had a pretty good first half. If you could take the interceptions that he's thrown away, we'll see how he handles things now. 2.5 minutes left in the first half. Ticats at their 22. Kerrigan, quick pass, no good, intended for Richard Estelle. And Greg Battle, I believe, just got a finger on it to tip it away from Estelle.
Effective play that teams will run a lot of times is that quick slant in pass if they feel that the linebacker's playing too far off the ball. But again, good range by Greg Battle that time to get in the way and make the play.
Second down and 10. Ticats at their 22. The fans have come to life at Winnipeg Stadium. And Kerrigan is sacked. The ball comes loose. Ticats got it back.
Just a 4-man pass rush that time. They're just working upfield, and again, a lot of times pass rushing isn't necessarily very pretty. It's just a matter of keeping your hips and your legs moving, driving your man back, and then when you get to the quarterback, shed the offensive lineman and bring down the quarterback.
Romel Andrews got in there. He's 7 sacks this year, 4 in the last 2 games. Those 2 games against the BC Lions. As Baldiston will punt into the wind on 3rd down and long. Bombers come with a big rush. He gets it away. And it's not a very good punt. He gets a good bounce out of it. William McCall at the 50 of Hamilton trying to go wide. Spins away from one Ticat. And then is down at about the 47-yard line with 1 minute and 57 left until halftime. The Eskimos sitting at 9-2 going into this weekend. Whatever they do on the weekend, they'll carry the best record in the league into Ivor win. Salisbury for Buster Rhymes, and it's no good. Stephen Jordan and Jim Rockford both converged on Buster Rhymes.
What an excellent job that time by the Hamilton secondary. You see, Salisbury tries to look them off, and coming down on the seam pattern to Buster Rhymes, and there's all kinds of people coming around the ball, double teaming Buster Rhymes. Excellent play by the Hamilton defense.
Rockford has played the cornerback position in the games he's played for Hamilton this year, but he is suited to that safety position. 2nd and 10 Bombers. Salisbury, quick pass complete to Rick House. Out of the Hamilton 33. That's a first down with 1 minute 47 left in the half.
Once again, taking a page out of the Tiger Cats playbook with this timing stuff. 1, 2, 3 step drop, get rid of the ball. And it's frustrating for the defenders. You're right in his face. You don't get the sack. He still gets the ball off, makes a big completion.
Mike Walker was talking about that. He said it's difficult to sack Salisbury because he gets rid of it so quickly, and he's doing that now. It was not earlier. First and 10 at the Hamilton 33. Salisbury. And that's way over the head of the intended receiver, Buster Rhymes, who was tightly covered by Sonny Gordon. Well, Salisbury coming into this game had played the equivalent, Nick, of 18 games in the Canadian Football League. 7 last year, 11 this year. And he'd thrown for 4,400 yards and 34 touchdowns in those 18 games. Winnipeg possessions. You can see that Mr. Hyde was present tonight. The Bombers desperately seeking Dr. Jekyll. Kerry Cochran with a release pass. And he's down to the Hamilton 10.
This is a big part of the Winnipeg offense that they didn't do much of last year, throwing to the fullback. All they do is they bring the two wide receivers, a slot and the wide receiver down inside, flare out the fullback, and get a mismatch, and they're going to get a linebacker on the fullback, and he just can't keep up with them. It's a mismatch in foot speed, and it's a very effective play.
33rd catch of the year for Terry Cochran. And the Blue Bombers are at the Hamilton 11. Salisbury a fake and big pressure again. Grover Covington sacks Sean Salisbury after Mike Walker had set it up.
Coming into this game, Grover has had 140 sacks in 141 games.
In the first quarter by Darryl Corbin, fumbled the ball, left the game, came back, left again, came back again. And it looks like he will leave again.
Ricky Blake unable to make the block on Grover Covington that time. That was his man. It's his job to complete the fake, block Grover Covington. Unfortunately, I don't like Ricky Blake's chances when he's blocking Grover Covington. He's extremely strong, and he, even at 235 pounds, he can swat a man like that out of the way. And he's got good foot speed. He's been around a long time, and you're not going to fool him too much.
And Covington, Nick, would be the first to say that it's a lot easier for him to get those sacks when Mike Walker is playing, because he makes things happen in the middle. You played against Walker for many years, and you know what it's like.
Yeah, playing against Mike Walker really is a nightmare. Not only is he 280 pounds, he can run over you, but he's so quick he can run around you. And a lot of times he'll flush the quarterback out of the pocket towards Grover Covington and help Grover get those sacks.
Well, that's what he did that time. Sean Salisbury looked like he was winded on that play. The hit he took in the first quarter was to his head. So Lee Saltz, who's had a pretty good night coming off the bench repeatedly, is back in the game. 2nd down and 20, Blue Bombers. Saltz puts it up into the end zone for Buster Rhymes, and it'll be intercepted deep in the end zone by Will Lewis, a former Blue Bomber, and he'll have enjoyed that. Lewis let go by the Bombers a couple of months ago. So with 32 seconds left in the first half, the Bombers miss a great chance to take the lead, and the score holds at 13-7 Hamilton.
Grover Covington coming up the middle makes Lee Saltz throw this ball before he's ready. Again, Buster Rhymes hasn't been in there for a month. Lee Saltz is the backup. He's not used to being in there. We've got two guys that are not used to each other, not being able to get the job done. And just Johnny on the spot, Will Lewis right there for the interception.
I wonder what Gilbert Renfro is thinking as he watches this game from Toronto. First down for the Ticats, and they run with McAdoo for about a gain of 3. Renfro has said he does not want to come out here and be a backup quarterback. That's a situation that doesn't appeal to him.
Well, it's good insurance to have a fellow like him around. The other thing is, too, I think his problems in Toronto were just, you know, handling the fact that the crowd was not on his side when he was in a game and in a tough game and not playing well. That can shake a quarterback's confidence.
Circumstances tonight might dictate what happens with Renfro in terms of whether or not he comes to Winnipeg. Flags down all over the place. There was early movement on that 2nd down play, and we have only 4 seconds remaining now in the first half.
Winnipeg 76 was offside in the play. It'll be 2nd down repeated.
Mel Andrews is an ex-Tiger Cat. He's got a lot of buddies on that team, and I knew he was going to have a good game tonight because he was pretty excited about playing against his old team.
Well, the Blue Bombers got Andrews off the practice roster of the Ticats, and he has played very well for them. Better this year than last.
And he's definitely, it's all ripped and torn, so he's definitely involved in this game.
Blue Bombers have called a timeout with 4 seconds left in the first half. Their feeling being that they can get Hamilton to run this 2nd down play, maybe come up short and then have to punt the ball with a second to go, and who knows, maybe you can block it or return it. May as well take a shot at it. The coaches, Riley and Bruno, looking on intently. 2nd down and a couple. Ticats at their 34. Kerrigan just takes the snap and kneels down, and that will leave 2 seconds on the clock. And Hamilton really doesn't need to punt. They can just take the snap again and kill the time. There's no need for them to risk a punt. And that's what they will do.
Yeah, no mistaking that coach's message.
So if the Bombers thought they might decide to kick, make that error, they were wrong. The Ticats controlling much of the first half, but a turnover gave Winnipeg 7 points, and it's a 6-point Hamilton lead at halftime. At Winnipeg Stadium, the second half about to begin. The Blue Bombers trailing the Ticats by 6, and feeling happy about being that close, I would think, after they received this big play from James West late in the second quarter. They were down 13-0 West with the interception, and he ran it back to the Hamilton 2-yard line, and from there Ricky Blake took it in for the touchdown. One of the few bright moments of the first half for the Blue Bombers, but it leaves them only 6 points down at halftime, and statistically pretty close. Hamilton 178 net yards to 144 for Winnipeg. Turnovers 3 by the Blue Bombers and 2 by the Ticats, and you could look at that as being one of the significant differences in the first 30 minutes of the game. James West, who came up with that big play, and we'll watch the quarterback situation for Winnipeg very closely, as they had Saltz and Salisbury going in and out a number of times in the first half after Salisbury was shaken up, took a blow to the head, and then later was winded. But we expect him to start the second half. The Bombers with a kickoff, Ken Winey, and he's down at the 38-yard line. It is Sean Salisbury at quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers as they start from their 39-yard line. Salisbury pressured a lot in the first half, and the second half starts that same way. Covington with the sack.
Well, the Tiger Cats had to feel pretty good going in at halftime. They've done the things defensively they wanted to do, limiting the Blue Bombers to 1 touchdown, and if they can keep doing this and get back that enthusiasm that they started the game with, they're going to be really tough through this home stretch here.
Grover Covington, as Hamilton has had 4 sacks, he's had a couple of them. The Bombers only 1. Winnipeg from its 30, second down and 18 or 19 yards. Buster Rhymes with the reception. He's hit and he fumbles, and the Tiger Cats have it. This is Sonny Gordon. He fumbles, and who's got it at the Winnipeg 33? The Ticats have recovered their own fumble after recovering a Buster Rhymes fumble.
You see Sean Salisbury scrambling to his right, trying to buy some time. Buster Rhymes just really, he had the ball tucked away properly. It was just a real good hit on Buster Rhymes, and when you get these defenders running with the ball, they really don't know how to carry it, and sometimes they handle it like it's a live grenade.
Well, Gordon had it shaken loose from his grasp, Sonny Gordon, but fortunately for Hamilton, they got it back and have the ball at the Winnipeg 33. And McAdoo on a first down carry breaks a tackle, breaks another one, and is down close to a first down. As a matter of fact, it looks like he has 11 yards. Good tough running by Derek McAdoo.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, in order for the Tiger Cats to have success, run at that Winnipeg defense. They're doing a good job. You're not going to tackle him by grabbing up around the shoulders. You have to hit those fellas lower than that. And they're playing with a lot of enthusiasm. Hamilton looks good. They're starting off like they did the first quarter.
They are 1st and 10 at the Winnipeg 22-yard line. Kerrigan to McAdoo off the left side this time. West tripped him up as he approached the 20-yard line. They'll give McAdoo the 20, about the 19.5, and a gain of 2 yards. McAdoo came down with a flu last week, and Tony Trulov got to play against Ottawa and played very well. Both import running backs in uniform tonight. Trulov is the designated import. 2nd down and 2. 2nd down and 8 make it. They gain 2 for the Ticats at the Winnipeg 20-yard line. Kerrigan dumps it off. No good. McAdoo was all alone in the left flat, and Kerrigan didn't put it right on the money, or they'd have had a first down easily, and Kerrigan knows it.
Yeah, he hurried to throw a little bit because Tyrone Jones was giving him some pressure, but if you'd got that ball there, you had a great one-on-one situation with McAdoo and the linebacker, and usually the back is going to win that contest.
Well, McAdoo may have taken it into the end zone. We will never know. Paulus Baldiston, perfect on the night, will try to make it 3 for 3, a 27-yard try, which would give Hamilton a 16-7 lead. The kick is good, but there is a penalty on the play. Now, if it's against Winnipeg, it won't give Hamilton a first down, and they'll likely just take the field goal.
Winnipeg number 10 was offside. The penalty is declined.
And that's what will happen. The Ticats lead by 9. Hamilton with a 9-point lead. 3 minutes into the second half. Paulus Baldiston has just kicked a field goal, and he will now kick off. Not a very long kickoff. Winey runs up to catch it and steps out of bounds at the 46-yard line of the Blue Bombers. Well, Don Jonas will be inducted into the Winnipeg Football Club Hall of Fame tomorrow night, and what an impact he made on this franchise when he came here from Toronto back in 1971. The team was in deep trouble financially, and Don, you were instrumental in turning it around and putting people back in the stands, and the Bombers have taken off as a franchise since then. I congratulate you for that, and I know you've enjoyed being back here this week, and you're going to enjoy what's happening tomorrow night.
This is a tremendous honor. You know, I thought everything was all over, and then all of a sudden I get a call back from Winnipeg and been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now I become a legend, so I never knew they had the Hall of Fame, and it's very nice and a tremendous honor.
You're living in Florida now. Are you still able to follow the CFL?
Oh, yeah, we watch it. I'm sure ESPN picks it up, and we have an opportunity to catch it. Not as much as we used to, as you well know, because it was broadcast quite a bit down there. But, yeah, I follow it, and I continue to follow it all the time, even in the papers.
Don, in the 15 years since you've played, what would you say is the biggest change in the CFL since you were playing?
Salaries. I'd have been a millionaire if I was up here now. But
maybe not so much anymore.
You're not kidding.
Don, you won a Shenley Award. Nick won one as well. That's the highlight, I guess.
Without any question. You know, when I came to Winnipeg, I was just trying to survive. I wanted to prove that I can play in this football league, and the Shenley Award, having a great year in '71 and winning the Shenley was just icing on the cake. It was just phenomenal.
Well, Don, it's good to see you. We hope you enjoy the induction ceremonies tomorrow night and the rest of your weekend in Winnipeg.
Well, I thank you for everything you've done, and I thank all the fans across Canada. It was a tremendous league. I enjoyed playing in it, and I just appreciate it very much.
Don Jonas, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very kindly.
Don will go into the Blue Bomber Hall of Fame. Tomorrow night he'll be inducted as you look at his accomplishments. And that Shenley Award-winning season is one that football fans here who were able to remember back to 1971 haven't forgotten and won't forget. He had a sensational year, and he'll go in with Dave Burkholder, Dave Ramey, Seth Giles, and Henry Jansen. Perry Tuttle with a reception for a first down while we're talking to Don, and then an incompletion by Salisbury. Now it's 2nd and 10 Blue Bombers, and the pass no good, intended for Tuttle in the area of the 35-yard line of Hamilton.
Hamilton defense has done a real effective job again of getting to Sean Salisbury. Maybe we're emphasizing that too much, but that is really a key. They've really disrupted a lot of the timing that the Blue Bombers are trying to get in their offense, and they're doing an effective job of just keeping them off balance.
What I find interesting about the way the Hamilton defense is playing, Nick, is first 3 games this year they gave up 54 points, which is excellent, but in the last 8 they've been scored on for 281 points, which is about 35 a game. So they're playing the kind of game tonight that they haven't been playing very often in the last 2 months. Cameron hoists a long kick. Zatilny lets it go into the end zone, and the Bombers will get a single point out of it and make the score 16-8 for the Ticats with 10:25 left in the 3rd quarter. Al Bruno was the coach of the year in the CFL in 1986, the year his team won the Grey Cup, and Mike Riley was the coach of the year last year when the Blue Bombers won the Grey Cup. 4th quarter begins at Winnipeg Stadium with the Bombers at the Ticats 34, 2nd down and 10. Salisbury gets away from the rush and completes it to Faby for a first down.
Make the most of your opportunities. There's only so many that you're going to get, and it looks like if they can come away with something here, it may turn out to be that kind of a game. Turnover. turnovers and penalties, those inconsistencies are the things that coaches cry about and they're concerned with. But here's a good throw back against the grain to Randy Faby, who again just finds the open spot and settles down in there, waits for the ball.
1st and 10, Bombers, Ticat 20. Ricky Blake on a draw, he fumbles. There's a flag down as the ball is inside the Hamilton 10. The Ticats have it. I think the penalty would be against Winnipeg for holding a Tiger Cat who was going after the ball. That would be my guess. And Daryl Corbin seems to confirm that as he heads off the field celebrating.
We've got illegal interference on a loose ball. Winnipeg number 22. That makes it Hamilton 1st down.
As we just mentioned, there's only so many opportunities that you get in a game when you're in a scoring situation or scoring area to put the ball in. A good hit on Ricky Blake's arm that time. The ball pops free. And Hamilton is very much a ball hockey type of defense. They're known for that.
That's the 5th Winnipeg turnover. Hamilton has committed 4. Tony Trulov runs on 1st down and gains 3, maybe 4 yards.
Part of these inconsistencies is just an inability to finish off drives, and the coaches will tell you it's great if you're moving the ball between the 20-yard lines all night, but if you can't get the pay dirt, then really it's just wasted effort, and all it does is it's frustrating. It builds up frustration and takes away from your confidence.
Lee Salt's warming up. The backup quarterback for Winnipeg has been in this game 2 or 3 times in the 1st half. I don't remember exactly, but Salisbury was taken up a number of times. The pass from Dillon to Zatilny is incomplete, and the Tiger Cats are going to have to kick from deep in their own zone. 16-15, Hamilton leading early in the 4th quarter. Now, what wind there still is at Winnipeg Stadium will favor Osbaldiston on this punt. Rod Hill has come close a number of times tonight to blocking Osbaldiston. Doesn't get there this time, and Osbaldiston gets it away. It'll bounce at the 45 and go out of bounds at the Hamilton 50-yard line. The 2 men in the center of the screen, Joe Zuger, the general manager of the Ticats, and their owner, David Braley. Sean Salisbury, 1st down, completes it to Tuttle, and then the ball comes loose. They're going to rule a catch, and that the ball came out after Tuttle was down at the Hamilton 32-yard line.
Perry Tuttle, in a very quiet, unassuming sort of way, has done an effective job tonight. He hasn't really done anything which you'd call spectacular, but he has made the catch every time the ball's been thrown to him.
Particularly in the 2nd half. He's made a number of important catches. Bombers trailing 16-15. Salisbury on 1st down. Flushed out of the pocket. Tuttle is all alone. He's to the 20 and down to the 19. Hit hard. The ball came out. Corbin hit him. The Bombers got it back. And Tuttle is injured on the play.
He was able to, it seemed like he was all alone on the sidelines there. It's almost like they forgot about him, just standing there waiting for the ball. And trying to get to the goal line, he moved back into the middle of the field. And, of course, that's where all the pursuit was coming.
It looks like his mouth guard on the turf. Jim Rockford is shaken up. Well, you'll often see Perry Tuttle on those sideline plays, Nick, step out of bounds, discretion being the better part of valor. That time he tried to turn it into more than was there, and he paid for it.
He certainly did, and Jim Rockford is a big hitter. He's one of those guys in the middle that will come up and he will rock you. Now, Perry Tuttle at this point probably would think twice about coming back, but in actuality, it's Daryl Corbin putting a hit in Perry Tuttle's ribs. I think it's just he had the wind knocked out of him from the look in his face, and if you've had that happen, that's an extremely unpleasant experience.
He caught the hit on the shoulder or the chest area, Nick, and if it's not a shoulder injury, it's what you're talking about, and that's being winded. 11:48 left in the 4th quarter. 16-15 Hamilton in what has turned into a great battle for first place here at Winnipeg Stadium. Talked to Al Bruno before the game and got his thoughts on the rivalry between the Blue Bombers and the Tiger Cats.
It hasn't changed a bit. I can remember I played 2 years here in Winnipeg years and years ago, and the same thing happened then when Hamilton and Winnipeg get together, or the Bud Grant years, and it's never changed. We've had some good series with Winnipeg, and of course it's been a long time since we won here, so we're about due, and we're going to play hard and hope we can overcome the defeatist attitude we've had here the last 7 years.
Well, the Ticats have certainly played hard tonight. What they have to overcome, Nick, is 4 turnovers, and they've helped do that up to this point, partly because Winnipeg has committed 5 turnovers.
Well, both teams, and boy, you hate to harp on inconsistency, but again, both teams have shown a lot of that, have moved the ball at times, have looked really good, and looked like they're really in their groove, and then something backfires. You know, interception, fumble, penalty, things that are drive killers, momentum killers.
Just make sure they don't get the apple.
Hey, coach.
Well, Sean Salisbury seemed very alert in the second half. During the first half, he was injured twice. Came out of the game on 2 different occasions. Took a blow to the head, then took a shot in the ribs. Saltz was in and Salisbury was in. It was back and forth, but he's played the entire second half and has looked like the Salisbury we've watched all season, in particular the last 4 games when the Winnipeg offense has really rolled up some impressive numbers. Terry Tuttle just now being lifted off the turf. Some thoughts from Bomber center Lyle Bauer on the offensive turnaround that has occurred in the second half of the season.
Well, I think that probably the biggest thing is maybe we've got confidence in what we're doing and what the coaching staff's trying to accomplish for us. I think that may have been one of the biggest things early in the year. It's a change of system from what we had last year, and it does take some time for adjustments for everybody.
The way Perry Tuttle's walking off the field, it looks like it might be a rib. He took a helmet in a rib and maybe cracked.
Ken Winey replaces him. The Bombers 1st and 10 at the Hamilton 20. Ricky Blake carries off the right side, and he's stopped after a gain of maybe a yard. Blake protecting the football that time. Frank Robinson made the tackle. Blake fumbled the last time he carried.
Well, there was a bit of a hole there, and rather than he tried to run laterally too long before turning it up the field, he's really got to hit that hole hard and take it up in there, and by the time he got there, the hole had closed off.
2nd down and 9. Blue Bombers, they're at the Hamilton 19. 11 minutes left. We're in the 4th quarter at Winnipeg Stadium. 28,400 on hand, the biggest crowd of the season. Salisbury into the end zone for Rhymes, and it's knocked away. Stephen Jordan batting it away from Buster Rhymes.
Most of the times in a situation, you will see a halfback on a slot back covering him. And what they're trying to do here is make him think he's blocking and then just work to the outside and away from the cover man. Jordan reads Buster Rhymes' eyes, and when he looks up to see the ball coming, that's when he sticks that arm out and makes a play.
Trevor Kennard will attempt a field goal from the 26-yard line. His first field goal try of the night. Cameron puts it down, and Kennard misses it to the right. And he is not happy about it. He's heading down to argue with the official. You see them standing there under the goalpost. A late call by the official, but it's no good, and the game is tied with 10.5 minutes to go. Paulus Ballaston has kicked 3 field goals for Hamilton for 9 of their 16 points. He also has a convert for 10th. Trevor Kennard of Winnipeg just had his first field goal try, and he missed from 26 yards and went for a single to tie the game with 10.5 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Dillon on 1st down got away with one. The pass high intended for Champion, and Rod Hill couldn't quite go up and get it.
Well, Trevor Kennard was definitely upset with the fact that he missed his field goal, and you see him. I don't know if you could see what happened here. He's standing behind Grover Covington. Now, instead of worrying and running to the ref, if he'd have run after that ball, which was laying on the ground, he might have recovered that for a touchdown. It's like a punt. It was laying on the field for a long time.
He was focused on the referee, the man who called the kick wide. But that's a good point, Nick. The pass by Dillon intended for Tommy, incomplete. So Todd Dillon has not been able to get the Hamilton offense moving after taking over from Mike Kerrigan late in the 3rd quarter.
Well, he doesn't have the height that Mike Kerrigan does, so he's going to be bothered more by linemen rushing past him with their hands up in the air. It's harder for him to see his receivers.
Well, Baldiston trying to warm his hands. It was 8 degrees Celsius at game time, probably down to 4 or 5 now, I would think. It's cooled off. Baldiston waiting a long time. I don't know if he's going to take a time count violation. No, he's just letting the clock run down. Bombers have only one man back. That's William McCall, as they were going to go after that kick. And a penalty comes down. It'll be no yards against the Tiger Cats, which will give Winnipeg good field position. After tonight's game, we will select, as we always do, a Foster's most valuable player. Don't think it'll be Tyrone Jones or Miles Gorell, although you never know. But whoever it is, we'll talk to him.
There's nothing wrong with an offensive lineman as an MVP.
No, I agree. It's just hard to single them out.
That's true. Well, maybe not in Miles's case, being as big as he is.
Now, I'd expect an ex-offensive lineman to say that. We've talked about that in the past, you know, about taking an offensive lineman. Sean Salisbury has taken a beating tonight, and he had grown accustomed to avoiding that in recent games. Sacked only 17 times all season coming into this game. But the Ticats have had a number of sacks tonight. Salisbury for Murphy, no good. Will Lewis on the coverage. Perry Tuttle has bruised ribs. You see him leaving the field, and it looks like he's going to head to the Blue Bomber dressing room. Yes, he is. So he's out of the game.
Not only is Perry Tuttle having a rough time, but so is James Murphy. He takes a pretty good shot there where the ball's thrown over his head.
They've run a lot of those patterns tonight where the wide receiver comes inside and the slot back goes to the outside. Little 10-yard plays. Salisbury, short drop, had to pull it down. Scrambles to his right, throws it deep. The wind holds it up, and it'll be intercepted by Rockford. And he's back to center field with it.
I'm sure that Al Bruno right now has got a big smile on his face, because obviously trading Scott Flagel away, there was some people had some concerns about whether or not Jim Rockford could do the job, but he's played a solid game there tonight. He's supported well on the run. He's played that center field position really well. It's much like baseball, just standing back in there, letting things develop, help out wherever you can. The ball does hang up, mind you, but, you know, he was there to make a good play.
Salisbury did not get much on that throw, and into the wind it held up, but Rockford, as you say, Nick, has been prominent tonight. And Mike Kerrigan comes back into quarterback the Tiger Cats, and his first pass on returning is incomplete, intended for Champion, but it was thrown low.
Interesting thing about a timing offense, which both of these teams run, is that if you can't get rid of the ball initially, you have to pull it down, scramble out of the pocket and run around. You're certainly not as effective. And both defenses have been able to do that tonight. Sean Salisbury just can't get as much on the ball when he's throwing on the run, as opposed to setting up in the pocket.
That was the 6th Winnipeg turnover. The Salisbury pass picked off by Rockford. Kerrigan on second down, looks to the sideline again, throws it low. And again they rule no catch.
This time they mix up the coverage a little bit and trying to confuse the Hamilton offense. Tyrone Jones over coverage that time. And I guess it's people at home can make the call here. I thought it was good, and so does Tony Champion, but
well, I didn't see a bounce, but the officials did, and they're the ones that count. So
on the replay, it did bounce. It was a good call. Referees made a good call.
3rd down and 10 from center field for the Ticats as Baldiston to punt. 7:40 left, 4th quarter. The game tied at 16. And a good kick by Baldiston. Blue Bomber return men were upfield, but the ball won't go into the end zone. It comes out to the 2. William McCall picks it up there and will get it maybe to the 6-yard line. 7:21 to go in the first place battle in the East. Paulus Baldiston just made his 4th field goal of the night. We have 2:58 left. The Blue Bombers down by 3 from their 35. Salisbury finds Cochran, who's able to hold on to the ball and gain 7 or 8 yards. perfect night for Paulus Baldiston. His last one from 36 yards. And back on the 20th of July, as Baldiston had a pretty good game against Winnipeg as well. He made 6. Missed one that night. There's Murphy catching a Salisbury pass on 2nd down. Picks up 7 yards and a Blue Bomber first down. 2:33 left in the 4th quarter.
Murphy is catching the ball, but one thing he's not doing, he's not shaking free for those extra yards after the catch. And again, credit the Hamilton defenders for doing a good job of tackling tonight.
Well, the Ticats have played defense tonight the way you know Hamilton has played defense over the years, although in the 80s that tradition of rock-solid defense has been tarnished a little bit as James Murphy makes a catch and gets down to the Hamilton 42. He lost the ball. The Ticats think it's theirs, but looks like they're ruling that Murphy was stopped and it's Winnipeg ball.
Sean Salisbury just dropping that ball over the head of the linebacker in front of the defensive back. And again, Murphy not having the opportunity to run with the ball after he makes the catch. They're limiting the amount of things that he can do. They say, we know you're going to catch the ball, but you're not going to get extra yards after you catch it.
That looks like a fumble to me when Bruno sees the film of that. If he's angry now, he will really be upset. The ball was shaken loose as Murphy was going down. But they rule that the play was over, and the Bombers hang on to it. 1st and 10, Hamilton 42. Salisbury with Walker giving chase, just throws it away. Ken Winey was in the area, so he won't be called for grounding.
Coach Al Bruno told us yesterday that Mike Walker, to him, is very much like a quarterback is on offense. They really rely on his presence on the defensive line. Not only is he a good athlete and a good pass rusher, but he seems to add something to everybody's psyche on that defensive line. He brings everybody up, makes them more excited about playing.
Walker has been a strong force tonight. 2nd and 10, Blue Bombers. Salisbury has Cochran wide open. He makes the catch and then falls and is pinned by Robinson at the 36. 4 yards away from a Winnipeg first down. Chances are he'd have made it had he not fallen down.
Well, you've seen that a couple times tonight. The Winnipeg first Ken Winey, now Terry Cochran. A lot of players like to go with just flat surface running shoes on this type of artificial turf, because otherwise with the rubber tipped soles it grabs too much.
2 minutes left, and Mike Riley has decided rather than gamble on 3rd and 4, he'll send Trevor Kennard out to try a tying field goal from the 43-yard line. Kennard made a clutch 34-yard field goal in Vancouver Saturday to send the game there into overtime. And this one is good.
Trevor Kennard coming into this game was hitting 75% of his field goals. And if you ask a coach, what can you live with? And they say, we'd like 75% or better. And he's done that effectively all year and over the seasons that he's played with the Blue Bombers.
Well, that one was touch and go for a while. We weren't sure if it was going to get over the bar or not, as it was into the wind, and the wind seemed to grab it a little, although again the wind has gone down quite a bit, but it made it. And it's tied at 19 all with 1:42 left.
Well, it comes down to a situation now where who handles this type of a tense situation better. There's pressure on both offenses to perform, and otherwise you can't be too conservative. You still have to play offense, but everybody's a little more cognizant now of perhaps making a mistake. You see those ball carriers running with 2 hands on the ball. You see those receivers making sure that they have 2 hands on the ball so it doesn't get stripped.
Kennard kicks off and he bounces it down the middle. Trulov waiting for it. It finally arrives. And he's out to the 34 of the Ticats with 1:37 to go. These fans here at Winnipeg Stadium didn't have a lot to cheer about early as the Ticats ran out to a 13-0 lead and held that late into the 2nd quarter. But the Bombers got a late 2nd quarter touchdown, and the game was on. Kerrigan for DiPietro, and he drops the football.
That's not something you're going to see very often, that's for sure. Credit that offensive line once again, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They're young, but they're not getting flustered. The guys in the middle, they're keeping their poise. They're giving Kerrigan time. Giving Kerrigan time to look over the defense. You see him looking around, finding DiPietro down the seam. He just doesn't hang on to the ball.
Second down and 10. Ticats at their 35. Rod Hill with a big play.
Any time that you're going to try and make a long throw on an out pattern across the field, you better put a lot of smoke on that, especially against Rod Hill, who's probably the best corner in the league at breaking on the ball when the quarterback releases it. He moves up extremely well. He's got good range.
When Kerrigan threw the ball, Nick, it looked to me like Champion was wide open, but Hill closed so quickly. Boy, that's a big league play. Third down and 10. Ticats at their 35. A minute 28 to go. And the crowd really into it now at Winnipeg Stadium as Balderston quiets them a little with an excellent punt. And William McCall is somehow able to find room to return it about 7 or 8 yards to the Blue Bomber 48-yard line with a minute 15 left in the game, tied at 19 all.
Well, what you like to see is two veteran quarterbacks such as Mike Kerrigan and Sean Salisbury working the clock in a situation like this. The veteran guys keep their poise. They know how much time they have. The receivers should know where they are on the field, and the 2-minute drill is so important.
Salisbury waving his arms to try and quiet the fans a little bit here now. Buster Rhymes can't hold on at the 50 of the Ticats. Buster Rhymes isn't exactly cementing his employment with the Bombers tonight. He's dropped a couple, and that in a very crucial situation.
Well, in his defense, he had to really twist in the air to try and turn back and make that play. But again, those types of things you have to have in this situation.
From the Winnipeg 47, second and 10. Salisbury completes it to Cochran, and he fights up to the 54 of Winnipeg. Now that's a gain of 7 yards. It'll be 3rd and 3 Winnipeg. We have a minute 3 left, and the Bombers won't go for it. They'll punt.
One of their most effective plays has been Terry Cochran just coming out into the flat, being covered by a linebacker, picking up those 6 and 7 yards. They had pretty good success with it. I'm surprised they didn't go more to that tonight.
You ready for overtime, Nick?
Why not?
Clock is running. It's down to 55 seconds. Don't suppose the Bombers would fake this punt, do you? Well, they're taking a lot of time running the play. No, Cameron is going to kick it, and he kicks it well. Zatilny back to the 10-yard line of the Ticats. They'll try to take it wide. James West knocks it out of his arms, but Zatilny is able to contact it as it went out of bounds, and the Tiger Cats will keep the football. 32 seconds left.
That's a heads-up play by Wally Zatilny. He's got tremendous speed, and what he's trying to do here is just get outside the corner so he can turn it upfield. West does a great job of stretching out, knocking the ball loose, and a heads-up play, knowing the Canadian rules.
47-yard punt and a 7-yard return. The Ticats at their 17-yard line, 32 seconds to go. And the Blue Bombers have an injured player. Mustafa Ali is being helped off the field. He and Rod Hill are having quite a heated exchange. I don't know what that's about.
Well, Mustafa Ali is a rookie. There's enough pressure on him already, and it could be Rod Hill is a pretty positive type of guy. He is extremely talkative, and it could be that he's, you would hope that he's trying to get him pumped up and say, listen, let's hang tough in here. We can still get this ball now and maybe kick a single point.
Ticats from their 17. You would think they'll play it safe here, Nick, and just run the ball play for the overtime. McAdoo carries. He's out to the 19. 28 seconds to go.
Well, I would have to agree that that was their philosophy, because the Winnipeg defense also thought that they had pretty well 8-9 guys up on the line of scrimmage, anticipating that the Tiger Cats are going to just try and run out the clock. There was only the corners and the safety, Michael Allen, way back in the middle, and 9 of them up on the line.
Bombers take their timeout now. It was either now or after the next play. They've taken it now. 28 seconds to go. Al Bruno with his assistant coaches and Mike Kerrigan talking things over. The next play, if it's a running play, will use up, I guess 4 or 5 seconds. That'll get it down to 23. And then the clock will run until the ball is put in play again. So the Ticats will be able to use up most of the time, Nick, but they will have to punt probably. I don't know if they can run out the time that's going to be remaining after this next play, assuming they don't make a first down.
Well, if they don't, I would anticipate Winnipeg to set up a return so that they give Bob Cameron perhaps a chance to punt that ball into the end zone. And heck, who knows? Maybe you see a quick kick here.
The clock will start as soon as the ball is snapped. Kerrigan hands it off to McAdoo. Right side, there's a flag down. Battle with the tackle. McAdoo stopped 2 yards short of the first down with 22 seconds left. Now, with that amount of time remaining, maybe Hamilton can use it all up without punting.
The legal procedure, Hamilton, there was no eligible end. The penalty is declined. It's 3rd down.
So 22 seconds left. Mike Riley and Al Bruno looking on anxiously. Some indecision with the Ticats as to what they're going to do.
Looks like Al Bruno is trying to call for a timeout, or perhaps they changed their mind. Paz Balderson, definitely the man on the spot right now, and I'm sure he's veteran enough he can handle this situation.
You see, the clock will start as soon as time is whistled in. You would think Kerrigan could let it run down to 3 seconds, take the snap, and just run the 3 seconds off. But if he's not able to, then you've given the game to Winnipeg. The risk with punting, of course, is obvious. There's a chance it'll be blocked.
Rod Hill has come close a couple times tonight, but lately they've done an effective job of just blocking him out of there. And Winnipeg is giving the block look. They've got 11 men up on the line and only 1 man back, William McCall.
Balderson taking lots of time, might take a time count violation here. Now there's the snap. Hannes Balderson with a good kick. William McCall lets it bounce. And he's got it back now at the 25-yard line, steps out of bounds. The game is over in regulation, but we're tied, so we'll have overtime from Winnipeg Stadium. We have completed the first half of overtime at Winnipeg Stadium. No scoring. The Ticats and Blue Bombers still tied at 19-all. Now, when you played in cool conditions like this, you had the sleeves rolled up and your bare arms. What is it? You're all dressed to the hilt here, Nick. It's beautiful up here.
Wait, emotion keeps you warm out there. You pace the sidelines. Mentally you're involved. You don't think about the cold. This is a totally different situation for me.
Well, this has turned into a terrific football game. It maybe started a little slowly, but as you said, the kind of game you'd expect from 2 teams with identical records.
Both defenses have come up big. There's been turnovers, mind you, but I think that's just a function of the fact that the defenses are playing so well. Hard hitting, they're good getting after ball carriers.
Mike Riley has got a smile on his face. Looks like it as Trevor Kennard kicks off to begin the second half of overtime. Wally Zatelny has it. He wanted to go wide left. The Bombers closed that avenue off, and he did manage to get to the 40 and then across.
I'm impressed with a second-year veteran out of Bishops. I think he's done a good job tonight. He's worked hard on special teams. He's done a lot of running. He's done a good job as a receiver. And Again, good Canadian talent will win a lot of games for you in this league.
Zatelny has returned 2 kicks for touchdowns this year, Nick, and has also scored 2 touchdowns catching passes, one of them tonight. So he has been a contributor and hasn't started every game. From the Hamilton 40, the Ticats 1st and 10. Tony Trulove gets 5, maybe 6 if they give him the 46-yard line, tripped up by James West.
That's a good job by Tony Trulove. Starts wide. If he stays wide, they're not going to have too much success. That's been evident all night. So what he does, he cuts it back up inside and takes what he can get.
2nd and 4. Ticats are at their 46. Kerrigan shovels it to Jed Tommy with his left hand. That'll be an incomplete pass unless they rule that Kerrigan was in the grasp, and they're not going to. So it's an incomplete pass, but what a heads-up play. A dangerous play, too, by Mike Kerrigan.
Well, I think it's dangerous in the sense that, you know, you're not going to get much even if he does catch the ball, and they might rule that a fumble.
Boy, you know, to have the presence of mind to change hands with the ball and then shovel it ahead with 2 behemoths on your back. I don't know. You have to admire that to some extent. Wonder at the wisdom of it a little bit, too. 3rd down and 4. Ticats at their 46. Osbaldiston low kick. Gets between McCall and Winey. And McCall picks it up and returns it to the Bomber 28-yard line. 3 minutes, 26 seconds left in the 2nd half of overtime. And this will be it. If there's no scoring, it will end in a 19-all tie.
I get the feeling right now that both offenses are playing not to lose a game rather than playing to win. They're doing very conservative type things, and somebody's got to air it out a little bit or be adventurous here.
Well, Salisbury drops back to pass, hits James Murphy, who makes a difficult catch with a defender, Lance Shields, on him for a Blue Bomber 1st down up to their 39-yard line.
Yeah, James Murphy was fighting the ball a little bit as he comes off here. Again, just a quick slant inside, juggling the ball, and manages to hang on to it before he gets hit.
Lance Shields has played a strong game. Boy, you talk about a lot of defensive players who have played well tonight. Salisbury puts it up long for Murphy, and it goes through his hands at the Hamilton 27-yard line. Murphy's not hurt, folks. He's just upset.
Yeah, he's not real happy with himself. And what happened there is I think that James Murphy is trying again to make an adjustment to the ball and just speeding up, slowing down. He's not really sure where the ball is and just misjudges it and perhaps takes his eye off it for a moment there. And that hand-eye coordination is so important for a receiver.
Well, that was there. Mike Riley knows it. 2nd down and 10, Blue Bombers at their 39. Salisbury, no good, intended for Winey down at the Hamilton 50. And again, Jim Rockford was in the area, and I think Ken Winey knew it.
Sean Salisbury's not happy. These are tough catches to make, especially between 2 defenders. But you know, if you're going to get hit, you still have to make that catch. You can't short arm that ball, anticipating the hit. And Jim Rockford's presence has made itself known tonight, that's for sure.
So with 2:18 left in the 2nd and final half of overtime, Bombers will punt. Bob Cameron, not his best. On the run, it's fumbled by Zatelny, but he gets it back at the Hamilton 45-yard line. A daring play by Wally Zatelny.
Well, he's attempting to feel that on the fly, of course. He doesn't want to let that ball hit the ground where it can do anything. He just doesn't quite get up on it fast enough. And with those winds picking up a little bit here, that ball does strange things up there, because the wind does have a tendency to swirl in this stadium. 2nd and 10 for
Clock is running. It's down to 1:53, 1:52 as the Ticats come out from their 45. McAdoo, center field, into the Bomber 53. That's a first down for Hamilton. McAdoo's had a good football game.
He's the best receiver of the running backs for the Tiger Cats, and he had 32 receptions coming in this game, so they use him a lot in that capacity.
Well, there's a penalty down well after that play.
Objectionable conduct. Hamilton, number 58.
Jason Riley, the left tackle of the Ticats, did something that is going to hurt his team, similar to what Osbaldiston did earlier.
Lack of mental concentration. I mean, you're going to get penalties that are caused by one guy perhaps being better than you on a play. Penalties that are caused by the athletes on the field just being superior or whatever. But there's other kind of penalties that really drive a coach crazy, and those are ones where it's a lack of concentration or losing your poise, and that's what you see right now.
Well, the Ticats lose some yardage. They do keep the first down, though, because they'd made it before the penalty, but they're back at their 47.5 instead of being in Winnipeg territory. Kerrigan forced out of the pocket, throws to DiPietro, and he can't make the catch, as Ken Haley got a hand in at the 45-yard line of the Blue Bombers. It was Daryl Sampson, not Haley.
Mike Kerrigan's ability to get outside of contain that time bought him some extra time. Puts a lot of pressure on a defensive back, because now, as the guy that you're covering is running across the field, you've got to chase him across that field, and it is a very wide field.
Second and 10, Ticats. At their 47.5, the clock down to a minute left in the second half of overtime. Kerrigan completes the champion. Dumped at the Bomber 45, but the Ticats are nearly within field goal range, and they may be, although remember they're going into what wind there is left.
That's a big league play right there by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. A crucial situation. Second and 10. They're out of field goal range. They come up with a first down. Good veteran ball clubs make and convert those types of situations.
Paul Osbaldiston getting ready at the Ticat bench. Now, they'll talk it over at the Hamilton bench. Nick, 50 seconds left, the second half of overtime. You're at the 45 of Winnipeg. Do you run a couple of plays, hope to get 5 yards, get it to the 40, and then ask Osbaldiston to kick a long one? I don't think so. I think you have to get it in a little deeper.
Well, I guess I'm adventurous in spirit. I figured that you can't play conservative. You've got to move that ball down there if you've got the opportunity.
Let's see what the Ticats do. Expect they'd run on this play and then pass on second down. Bad guess. First down pass complete to DiPietro down to the 39 of Winnipeg.
Smart move there, Rocky DiPietro. Good possession type of receiver. You go to your veterans in a situation where you need a big play, and it's not a big play in that he gained a lot of yards, but it's moving them closer. Picks up 5-6 yards. Now there's a good situation in which to convert a second down.
DiPietro went out of bounds, so the clock won't start till the snap. Interesting call now for the Ticats. And they'll throw it again. Look to get that first down. Complete to Wally Zatilny at the 34-yard line. First down, Hamilton, with 30 seconds to go. And now they can run a couple of plays on the ground and put Osbaldiston in the middle of the field.
You sure can, and it's very tough to defend this type of an offense when they're hitting on all cylinders. And right now, Kerrigan and his receivers are very much on the same page.
First down, Ticats. Winnipeg 34. A handoff to Trulove. And he's got a good run down to the 23-yard line of the Blue Bombers. Gain of 11 yards. Ticats have another first down with 24 seconds left.
Tony Trulove does a good job, and I'm sure he got more even than the Tiger Cats expected he would on that play. But again, a strong running back, and you're not going to bring him down with arm tackles. You've really got to hit him flush, head up, square, wrap your arms around him.
Well, Paulus Baldiston is 4 out of 4 on the night, and he has a chance to, or will have a chance, we think, to cap a perfect evening for him, and it would be perfect in every respect if he makes a late field goal, because the Ticats will win the game. 19-19, second half of overtime, and we have 24 seconds left.
Paulus Baldiston has made 10 of 11 field goals against the Blue Bombers this year, so I think he's relaxed and he feels good in this situation. And actually, it's interesting. There's a one situation, like all the players in training camp, you all want to be a field goal kicker because they figure that's a nice, easy job. But there's not one of those guys out there right now would trade places with Paulus Baldiston.
Kerrigan talking to Al Bruno, determining what they're going to do with their last couple of plays before they send out the field goal team. It's a lonely job at the best of times, and nobody wants to, like, nobody ever goes over to a kicker in this situation and gives him a reassuring pat or encouragement. You just don't talk to them.
No, you don't, because you want him to, he's mentally psyching himself for the kick, probably going over a mental image of making that ball go through those posts in his mind, and leave the guy alone. Everybody knows what's riding on it, and he more than anyone. And I think right now with Hamilton, you probably see them give him good field position for this kick. Just move the ball to the middle of the field and let him kick it.
21 seconds left, and there's a timeout. I think the Bombers called a timeout. Mike Riley looking extremely concerned, as well he should. Mike Kerrigan comes back out to run at least one more play. Get a little bit closer for Paulus Baldiston. The ball at the Winnipeg 21. We're in the second half of overtime. Kerrigan, and he just runs back a couple of yards and falls in the middle of the field at the 24-yard line. So as Baldiston will have a 31-yard try to win it. 18 seconds now remaining.
I think the toughest thing about being a field goal kicker was that the whole game is riding on this. There's a lot of mental pressure, and you've got to go out there and just blank it from your mind and be relaxed and do the thing that you do 1,000 times in practice.
Todd Dillon will hold. The Bombers have 3 men in the end zone, including their kickers. They will kick it out if Baldiston doesn't make it. Rod Hill blocks it. It's in the end zone. William McCall will try to run it out, and he does. There's a penalty flag down, though, so hold everything. Time is out. The game is over as far as the time clock is concerned, but there's a penalty flag.
Offside, Winnipeg number 10, repeat third down.
Rod Hill, who blocked the punt, was offside.
And Rod Hill better watch himself, or he's going to get another penalty and move the ball even closer. They've made up their mind. Forget it. He tries to block these kicks on timing. He tries to get a good jump off the line of scrimmage by reading the snap of the ball. This time he got up a little too quick. He did a fine job of cutting the corner, turning his body to block it, but he missed, and they get a second shot at it.
And this time from 5 yards closer in from the 26-yard line. And this time Hill doesn't get there as Baldiston missed it. Kenner taps it in the air to Cameron, but it went through the end zone. It's a single point, and the Ticats win it 20-19 in overtime. Al Bruno's in first place with an 8-4 record. Paulus Baldiston 5 for 5, and the Blue Bombers are now 7-5. Great game at Winnipeg Stadium. The Ticats move into sole possession of first place.